Hey there, it's Marissa Farrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. For more podcasts and other ministry content from Marissa Farrow Ministries, make sure you hit subscribe today. Hope you enjoy the broadcast.
They'll respect you. You know, so it's like I think they do overcompensate because they are trying to prove that they can do it rather than just doing it. Just do it.
Yeah, I'm totally recording this because I'm thinking this might be some good behind the scenes talk. I just feel like we have reached this pandemic of individuals and young women that are just stuck trying to overcompensate, and that's the direction of my conversation. We don't have to find ourselves fighting against the grain. We don't have, because sometimes, again, your ability to just do what you were called to do speaks volumes, and that goes. It's almost like Bishop Jake said it, and I love the way he said it. If you want this, you'll have to build this. It's almost like the idea that when it is your opportunity to do something, if nobody creates a way, you have to pave your own. Right. And paving your own sometimes is not about talking about it; it's just doing it. And when you do it, they don't have no choice but to respect you. And that is the main point. That is the main selling point even of the masterclass for the segment that I'm doing. It's just about having to understand and this is natural with any person in life. You got to pick your battles. You have to pick your battles. Yeah. You can't just be up here trying to, fight everything, because sometimes you waste more time trying to fight people than when you just do what you're called to do. And that's been the thing that has worked for me all of my life. So when people, that's like the number one question to me, like, well, how do you? And the reason I do it is because I'm not fighting people about it. I just stand on my own 2 feet. That's the same that I start preaching. Though, if you say what God says, He has to show up. So if you do what God says do, why would He not give you the grace to run the course that is given to you?
Right.
So I just, what's out here, what's plaguing these young women? What is it that they need to know? And really trying to find a point of identification. But I do know everybody is not us. Everybody hasn't had that story of being able to have leadership.
Right. I think that's a major piece. They don't want to feel like they're betraying their leaders, going outside and trying to find mentorship somewhere else.
Right. But do you know what, Shalondria? I legitimately can attest to the fact that there are some things I just could not get from a male figure in ministry. Absolutely. I do believe that every young woman in ministry has got to have a female mentor or leader in their life that can help to direct them, specifically in those cases that we were just talking about, where they feel like they are not able to get the attention or the impartation. Let me say that. The impartation from their leader, who may be a male, that they are giving to their other male counterparts. And I think that it should not be offensive to male pastors who have young female leaders who need to and kind of go from the outside. I think that, in fact, if you are a leader that cares, you would help to connect your young women in ministry to people who are able to give them those advice. I mean, literally, I thank God every day for my pastor and her group of girlfriends. My pastor's Reverend Lane. You got Cynthia Hale. You got Claudette Copeland. You got Gina Stewart. You got Reverend Jessica Ingram. You got Dr. Renita Williams. You got, all of this conclave of women in ministry, that Dr. Joanne Brown, and all these women that have been able to lift and pull me. Honestly, the funny thing is, when I first got and met my pastor was like, she said, "Where have you all been? We've been looking for y'all." And I'm like, "We've been looking for y'all." And maybe literally that I may need to see about, if my pastor is willing to do like a class, because I know there are a lot of ministry who may or may not ever know some of the prominent voices that literally help to trailblaze a pathway to ministry. Like, one thing's for certain, those names that I just mentioned, those are people like the Susie Owens and the Claudette Copelands who were getting called to do like Woman Thou Art Loose in the early 90s and things like that. They came out of this era where women were not active and open in ministry as we are now. Certainly not as we are now. No. We had to fight through the way, creating a way. Right. I tell my pastor all the time, we need to get that wisdom out of y'all before y'all leave this earth. Those are jewels that we need, and maybe I need to see if I can facilitate something like that. I definitely will ask her and bring it to her attention, because I think that is the missing component. That's something that I have been graced to have, but I do think that that's the missing component.
I agree. I think for me, I didn't have a female in ministry growing up. I had my dad.
Yeah.
That was it. And you treated me like you treated the boys. Matter of fact, you treated me worse than you treated the boys. But my father also, he was also very stern, be a lady. He bought me my first pair of stilettos. My dad, you know what I'm saying? No, don't wear that. You know what I'm saying? Little stuff like that. But there were some moments when I was younger in ministry that I wish I had a lady to be like, okay, sis, this is this. Exactly. And now you kind of see it growing up. Now I can kind of ask questions. Now I have people to go to. Yeah. But I think that's a big deal too. I think sometimes they just don't know.
Yeah, and that may be a market that we need to create and venture into, and and I'm saying that to connect people, really just a network, because the bottom line, there's a scarcity of women in ministry, number one. But the solid ones that really have the ability to lead to God and to mentor. I get asked all the time to mentor people, and there was a point in my life where I felt like, well, this is not my season to mentor. Right. That's the older I get, I'm approaching 31, I guess. Now I'm starting to open up a little more to the idea. But I still think that there's just a wisdom that comes from like those grace. Yeah, that we really, really need. Like I know for you, like Mara Bennett and some of those people, and like Janet Floyd's and all those women caliber, those women. I haven't been privileged to meet either of those names that I just called, but those women have a wisdom for women who operate in the prophetic gift that we really need to find some way to bridge and connect and create. We need to listen, especially right now while we are in this wait. Thank you, Pastor Nelson. Brian Nelson said earlier on the talk show, do not waste this wait. You need to occupy until God speaks.
Good time, man. The Iona Locks, the Jackie McCulloughs. They're still here.
HD of tongue. You know what I'm saying? That lady can talk as a tongue, right? Yeah, she's good girlfriends too. Like, I'm gonna really
Naomi and Ruth.
Yes.
Merge, but as emergent voices with voices who have paved the way. You do that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we need to do. I'm getting ready to probably put that in my pastor's ear tomorrow and see, once this is all lifted, what we can do to actually put people in the room these
merging them.
Yeah. And that's good, like the merge, because it's going to be women who are emerging with women who have emerged.
Oh, that's good. The merge.
Have that in that gap, being able to connect those women is going to be true. Because let me tell you something, I literally, having a woman in ministry behind you will change your perspective about ministry and about your ability and the heights that you can reach in ministry. There are no limits just because you're a woman in ministry. And I know that now because I have been connected to a woman who shattered the ceiling. Those very things that people try to say we couldn't do, we shouldn't do. These women that I have been blessed to be under have shattered the ceiling, shattered the glass, and we are now able to see and believe in our ability as women in ministry. And that's what I'm saying. I think that some of these young girls and young women don't have a vision of hope for that or an understanding of that, and I would hate to seem selfish. If I have an ability to connect these women that I know have shown up, wisdom, they got degrees, they got Holy Ghost power, they got spirituality, they have real life experience, they're married. That's another thing, and a lot of them don't come, to some of the conferences that they should be connected to. So like my pastor's conference, unfortunately, was actually supposed to start tomorrow, the 16th.
Wow.
We've been running that conference for 35 years. This was our 36th year. So it's a solid conference. It's called, it's not just our women's retreat, our annual women's retreat. And we have every female voice that you could probably think of, literally from Dr. Jazz to Susie, to Sabrina Ellis and the whole group. So you got the older generation, you got that mid generation, then you're starting to get some of the younger ones in, Vandalyn Kennedy and myself and Rita Twig, not Rita Twig, Rita Reva Timms, that's her name. You know, so we get in a good mix, and then you also have some business people there that are in the mix. That's a good conference. You got Dr. Joanne's God is a Wonder conference, which would have taken place in May. And her conference has some of the leading voices, but the thing is, during those times, they offer classes for women in ministry who are married. And if you want to learn about being a woman in ministry, being married, and balancing family, you want to hear about it from Joanne Browning or Elaine or Jessica Ingram. I'm saying that in all sincerity because these are women who have become power couples with their husbands in ministry. And I mean, my pastor had to balance having 4 kids and finishing a doctoral degree. You know what I'm saying? So these women that you don't even really know are able to provide that insight. And I think that we don't have it in this generation. We don't have that those
either or.
Yeah, we don't have those celebrity voices that can give us that kind of knowledge and that kind of wisdom. So we got to figure this out, Taylor. I mean,
because
I think I'm a definitely
game changer.
Yeah, I'm gonna post this little conversation of ours because I think I'm gonna get some young women involved who want to hear the rest of this conversation on Friday night fill up. I'm certainly gonna post this. I'm glad I started to kind of hit that record button as we were talking because it was so generic. But I think that there's definitely something here that people need to hear that we'll be able to feed and maximize on when we get out of this. So I'm excited about Friday, man. You excited about Friday?
We're here for it.
It's gonna be great.
Come on.
Yeah, man. So listen, Friday Night Fill Up. I'm recording now, so I might as well tell y'all Friday Night Fill Up is happening this Friday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you observe the time zone. So if you're in a different time zone, we're excited about you coming on, Pastor Shalondria and I are getting ready to explore John chapter 20, and we're going to talk about dealing with the demon of doubt. And I think it's a good thing to deal with, specifically after our conversation we just had about women, because I find that a lot of young women just doubt their ability and their potential. And so I think this is going to be a great conversation. We're going to get super Bible on you. We want to teach for sure. We don't want to just inspire. We really, really want to teach because I think the truth of the matter is we need the stability of the word. For man shall not live by bread alone, but by the word of God. I think that it's important that we take this moment to get the insight and the wisdom that we need. So this is your official invitation. I know you have a little insight from this, but this is your official invitation to Friday Night Fill Up with myself and Pastor Shalondria and Taylor. 1 hour in the word happening this Friday. Is going down April the 17th. Don't you miss it, all right? It's going to be good. Taylor, you got some words for him? Give them to him.
I'm good. Let's do it. Come in, get ready to learn, get your pens and papers out because this is going to be fantastic.
It's going to be great. The invitation. Hey, so we're going to see y'all on Friday, and that's what it is.